graphing lines. Okay, this is a pretty big deal because they're always going to ask you to write an equation, right? Write the equation that, and anytime you're writing an equation of a line, we are going to make use of that point slope formula. All right, so that's a key phrase here, point slope. And I like to use this one because it takes care of all situations. There are other ways of writing out equations, which are fine, but I like this one because it puts everything into play. Because all you need is a point and the slope, and then you can write the equation of a line. And that looks like y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so that y sub 1 and x sub 1, those are the x and y coordinates you're going to plug in. The y is going to stay there. Okay, the x is going to stay there. Because when you think about your equation of a line, it's y equals mx plus b. You need the y, you need the x. So nothing's going to get plugged in there. So let's show you how this works. And it can be something as straightforward as this, where they will tell you what the slope is. So let's say they say the slope is 2/3. Let's say it goes through the point 4, 5. And they're like, hey, write an equation of a line. Well, okay, use that point slope formula. We're going to plug things in. So we've got our x and y coordinate here. All right, this is our x sub 1, y sub 1 that's there. And we just plug it on in. So y minus, okay, who's y sub 1? Oh, it's 5. All right, equals, who's m? Well, m's our slope. Oh, 2/3. Gotcha. And then open the parentheses, x minus, and who's that x sub 1 coordinate? Oh, it's 4. All right, so this is your point slope formula. Now all we're going to do is we're going to rewrite into whatever form they want. If they want slope intercept form, we got you. If they want it in standard form, we can take it from there as well. The big thing here is it's just rewriting. So I notice we're up against the parentheses, so we're going to distribute. So I've got 2/3 x. 2/3 times 4, well, remember with your fractions, when we multiply, we just multiply straight across. So 2 times 4, 8, 3 times 1, 3. Okay. And on the other side, we've got y minus 5. To get in the slope intercept form, and that's typically what they're going to be asking you to do, we just got to get that y all by itself. So to do that, we're going to add the 5 over. All right. All right, now it looks kind of bad here because I'm like, 8/3. Well, okay, this is where your number sense comes in. Remember, 8/3 is really, well, how many groups of 3 can you take out of 8? Well, you can take 2 of them. All right, there's 2 left over. There we go. All right, so it's a -2 2/3. So I got -2 2/3, and we're going to add 5 onto it. All right, so using our number sense, what we're trying to keep in mind here is it's a subtraction problem. Okay, I've got different signs, so we're going to end up subtracting. And I'm just trying to figure out how far is 2 2/3 away from 5. Well, it takes another third to make my whole, which gets me to 3. And that's nice. How far is 3 from 5? Well, it's 2. So altogether, it's 2 1/3 that we have traveled there. So my equation, when we finish this all off, it's y equals -2. Not negative, my goodness. Caught them for a second because I'm like, wait a second, the slope's right there staring at me. 2/3 x, and then remember we said it was 2 1/3. It's a positive, and there we go. It's as straightforward as that. So don't get scared with the fractions. All right, I think making it into a mixed number and then using your mental math about getting to a whole. Am I adding? Am I subtracting? Whatever the case may be. But that's the basics behind it there. Just plug it on in and then just kind of clean it up a little bit. All right, so then other things they're going to give you is they're only going to give you points. So they might just give you the order pair 3, 2. And they might give you the order pair, let's say, -1, +6. And they're like, hey, write the equation of line. Well, remember, you need point and a slope. You've got 2 points. So we're going to use this to be like, wait a second. Oh, yeah, I've got a slope formula that when given 2 points, we can do. So that's that change in y or the change in x. You might see it as y1 minus y2, and that's fine. All right, as long as you're consistent with it. But yeah, as long as it's, hey, we're talking about how much the y's are changing, how much the x's are changing. So there's my y's. So technically, this is the first y coordinate. That's the second y coordinate. So it'll be 6 minus 2. All right. Over, and then again, there's my x sub 2. There's my x sub 1, because technically it's the first x coordinate. It's the second x coordinate. So that's going to give me negative 1 minus, and then 3. So 6 minus 2, 4. Negative 1 minus 3, negative 4. Oh, my slope's negative 1. All right. Now, all we have to do is grab one of the points to use, and we're good to go. Me, personally, I'm going to grab the first one because they're both positive numbers. So see if you can do that. Pause that video. You've got your slope. You've got your point. See if you can do what we just did above. All right, let's see how it went. Formula-wise, I like to write my formulas down first. It takes me just a few seconds, but it keeps me more organized. So y minus y1, y minus, I said I'm going to grab that first one, so that's a 2, equals the slope of negative 1, x minus, and x sub 1, there's your 3. A little distributive property here. There's my negative x. There's my positive 3. Negative 1 times negative 3. And now, oh, we've got whole numbers. It's so much nicer. All right, so when I add my 2 on over, what happens when you add that 3 with the 2? Yes, you're going to get a 5. So, yeah, technically I'm adding the 2 over here. All right, and this is where you you guys have been doing this long enough that it's not as clean and organized, but I'm definitely showing what's going on to both sides. So there's my slope. 3 plus 2 is a 5. Negative x plus 5. There we go. There would be my equation. So, again, they might hide it on you a little bit, and then you're ready to go. Let's show you 2 other things that kind of come up with your slopes. We want to talk about parallel, and we want to talk about perpendicular. And the big thing here is when slopes are parallel, they are going to have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, we're going to take the opposite reciprocal. And remember, reciprocal is our fancy mathematical word that means we flip the fraction. So let's give you something here. If they tell you that the slope is 1/2, all right, and they give you the points of negative 4, negative 5, and they're like, hey, write the equation of a line that's parallel, all right, you would use the slope. If they say write the equation of a line that's perpendicular, all right, then we would have to take the opposite reciprocal. So what's the opposite reciprocal of 1/2? Well, the opposite of a positive number, negative number. Flip 1/2, you get 2. So you would use a negative 2. Let's say they gave you something different. Let's say for the slope, they ended up giving you negative 2/5. And you're like, okay, you want the perpendicular? All right. Opposite reciprocal. The opposite of a negative number, positive number. Flip 2/5, 5/2. So there it would be a positive 5/2, and that's what you would end up plugging into your point slope formula that you're using. All right. And then let's just show you a few other things that they'll ask you to go along with this using your point slope formula. Sometimes they won't just give you the slope. Sometimes they'll give you an equation. 3/2 x minus 2. And they'll say, hey, write an equation of a line that's parallel and goes through the point negative 4, negative 7. Okay, well, remember, point slope formula. I need a point, I need a slope. They gave me a point. Did they give me the slope? Well, yeah, kind of sort of they did. In my equation, there it is, 3/2. So now I would go through my point slope formula and I would use my 3/2. Let's say that it's like, hey, write an equation of a line that goes to this point and it's perpendicular to that line. Okay, I've still got my point, but now I just need my slope. Well, perpendicular, opposite reciprocal. So I'm taking that slope of 3/2, opposite of a positive number, negative number. Flip, or we're to take the reciprocal of 3/2, 2/3. So then you would use a negative 2/3. So that's the whole game. It all goes back to using that point slope formula though and plugging it on in. All right, that's it. We'll see you later.